Hello and welcome to this weekend edition of the Daily Dose of Greek. And today we're going to look at Paul's Damascus Road experience, his Damascus Road conversion and calling, as reported in Acts chapter 9 and Acts chapter 22. Notice I'm using the Christian Standard Bible translation here. And we're going to say, hey, there's a surface level contradiction, discrepancy here, but when we really consider the semantic range, the range of meaning of the Greek verbs involved, that discrepancy disappears. These passages are rightly reconciled. Let's also note, just at the outset, the book of Acts is a masterful piece of literature written by Luke. Luke was a great historian, extremely careful. So even if someone doesn't have presuppositions of inspiration and inerrancy as I do, they would hopefully at least come saying, hey, Luke is so careful in all these places. Certainly, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's see if these passages can be reconciled without introducing an artificial discrepancy ourselves. Let's understand them as Luke would have us understand them. So in Acts chapter 9, we see Luke's initial report here of Paul's Damascus Road conversion and calling. Luke tells us the men who were traveling with him, that is with Paul, stood speechless, hearing, right, there's the participle of akuo, hearing the sound, and there's the genitive object of the verb akuo, hearing the sound, but seeing no one. Remember that the verb akuo can take a genitive object, as it does here, or it can take an accusative object, as it does in the next verse we're going to look at. So let's look in the next verse in Acts 22. This is Paul himself recounting his Damascus Road experience, as he does again in Acts 26. In Acts 26, before King Agrippa, and here before the Jerusalem mob. Isn't that striking that with such limited space, the expense of producing this literature, the expense of writing material, Luke has 3 times included a report of Paul's Damascus Road conversion and calling. So let's look in Acts 22 here before this Jerusalem mob. And Paul himself is speaking here. He says, now those who were with me saw the light, but they did not hear, right? Did not hear. There's the aorist of akuo. Notice the lengthened initial vowel, the sigma alpha. They did not hear the voice, and there we have the accusative direct object of akuo. They did not hear the voice of the one who was speaking to me. Now, one way people in the past have tried to reconcile this is they say, well, there's a difference of meaning between akuo followed by the genitive object or akuo followed by the accusative object. So if it's followed by the genitive object, it means to hear without clarity of, to hear but not be able to distinguish specifics or words or something like that. And so here they hear, but they don't distinguish the words. And here they did not hear with the accusative, meaning they did not hear distinctly. Well, I agree with the root idea of that reconciliation, but I don't think it's because of the genitive and the accusative object. In fact, other scholars have shown that when you look at the akuo with genitive and accusative objects throughout the Koine period, this distinction does not hold up. But what does hold up, what is true, is that all words have a range of meaning. And akuo can mean to hear, just to hear. So with your ear, you hear, your ear records a sensory vibration. There's a sound, or it can mean to understand. And so I think it's they heard, but they did not understand, right? And phone can mean sound, or it can mean voice. So they certainly, these companions of Paul, they had a sensory experience. They heard a sound, but they did not distinctly hear the voice. But I think we really get that more from the context and the range of meaning of akuo and the range of meaning of phone, rather than the distinction between the object in the genitive and the accusative. So just to summarize, I say here, Paul's companions witnessed both the supernatural light and sound, but were not privy to the personal appearance and instructions given to Paul. I have a retired colleague, Dr. John Polhill, who's written a fabulous Acts commentary in the New American Commentary series, and I'm just going to read his words about these passages. Dr. Polhill says the most significant difference between Paul's account, right? Paul's account is the one we looked at second, the one in Acts 22, and the earlier conversion narrative, that is the one Luke himself, as he's recording what happened the first time there in Acts 9, occurs at 22:9, right? That's what we were looking at, where there was a difference. Where it is said that Paul's traveling companions saw the light but did not understand the voice speaking to Paul. In 9:7, the companions are said to have heard the sound but not to have seen anyone. Paul's account emphasizes their seeing. The earlier account, their hearing. Both accounts make the same point. The companions were witnesses to the experience and could verify that something objective took place. I think that's important. Let's read that again. The companions were witnesses to the experience and could verify that something objective took place. It was not merely an inner experience of Paul's psyche. On the other hand, the companions were not participants in the experience. They heard a sound, but they did not receive the message. They saw a light, but not the risen Lord. The vision itself was solely Paul's experience.